Well, I think it just preaches system again, doesn't it? I mean, when he spoke to us in the pre-game, I must admit I was taken aback with the confidence in which he said, if we do this, this and this, we will expose their vulnerabilities. Now, I don't hear of a coach talk like that on the road in this environment up against a strong team in Port Adelaide, and they just dismembered them. It was brutal all night for 120 minutes. And I don't know, the other coach's box lost for answers. What did they really do to shift the course of this game? What did they really do when it was on the line early?
And as a player, when you believe your coach, when you know what he says is going to pan out, you just have a confidence about you. And that's what it looked like with this Geelong group. Even coming out to the race pre-game, they had an air of confidence that was portrayed. We mentioned the body language of the coach, and he had that and oozed it, and the players played with it. And you're right, Port Adelaide just didn't have any answers. They've got no plan B. They try the same thing every single week, and when it works, it looks great. When it doesn't, it's been exposed. That's now their fourth finals loss in a row, and some bad pummelings in finals. You know, they've already had a 70-point loss. Last year it was a 48 and 23-point loss, and now an 80-point loss. Like, when they get beaten in finals, it is bad because they don't have anything else to go to. Their body language looked poor at half-time, and then they played like it in the second half. But full credit to the Cats. They made Port Adelaide play like that.
You know, defensively, I know their numbers read well, but are they absolutely at the pointy end of the competition, Port? We've had our doubts for weeks, and when the game is allowed to be played at speed like that against them, it's so difficult to defend. I just wonder whether they have enough defensively geared midfielders when the tide's going the other way.
That has always been the scouting report against Port Adelaide. If you turn them around and go the other way, do they run as hard as they do when they get the game on their terms? And as you said, your vulnerabilities get exposed in finals, and we saw that tonight from Port Adelaide.
Roo, just want to ask your opinion for a moment on Port Adelaide and the reaction you expect here in South Australia, how brutal the fallout will be, given that it was a straight sets exit last year, and well, Kenny's been under pressure at different times this season.
Yeah, look, they're not going to like it. They've lost their last four finals now, and this is the best preparation they've had coming into a game. They've actually been playing the best footy I've seen Port Adelaide play for a long time. So I was like many people in South Australia. I thought they were going to be very, very hard to beat tonight. So this is really going to rock them. The Cats have really put one on their chin.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see the fallout in the next couple of days, and they've got to regather and regroup really quickly, Joey, and it would have been good to see them come out and win the final term or come out and do something different or respond, just to carry a little bit of momentum into next week.
Yeah, it's going to take an amazing coaching effort now from Ken Hinkley to get this group up again. You can see the body language there. I mean, this will dent them, no doubt. This will give their ego, will take a hit, because when you get beaten like that, you start to have little doubts. You start to wonder, are we good enough? How good are we really? And, you know, what was this performance tonight? And they'll be looking around at teammates and looking at where it went wrong. So they've only got 6 or 7 days to butter up and have to go again. They've still got a chance in this season. Their season is not dead, but they're going to have to play much better footy than they did tonight.
Yeah, they've earned the double chance, but they certainly look shell-shocked at the moment. Going to be some big headlines in the town of Adelaide tomorrow as we head to the newsroom. John, Ralph, what is the fallout going to be for Ken Hinkley and the Port Adelaide Football Club?
Well, it's absolutely massive for Ken Hinkley. We know what a straight sets departure would do. We'll leave that up to you experts, but certainly from a medical point of view, we'll take you through the Zach Butters incident. Now, he was subbed out after half-time. So this is almost the aftermath, you'd imagine, of an initial hit. So it doesn't get hit with any great force there with Atkins, but he's grimacing there, and as you'll see in the next few seconds after that, he's really struggling with pain. So there was battling with breath at half-time. It came to warm up in the third quarter and just wasn't able to go. So he'll have scans. You'd have to say he's got to be in real doubt for next Friday's clash against the winner of the Dogs and Hawthorn. Given the gnashing of teeth and the sensitivity over the Christian Petrarca incident, it's very hard to play players now if you know they have an identifiable rib injury, so they'll work through that. As for Todd Marshall, he's certainly available. Charlie Dixon was getting the Bronx cheers, but Todd's played very little footy in the last month, and so when he has played his last 4 AFL outings, he is goalless, and so you're not exactly bringing in a superstar player if it is that you want to drop Dixon. Now, there was an MRO incident that the AFL will look at. Willem drew on Mark Blitzabs here. As you can see with this incident, you know, the force of that contact is, well, it's medium impact, you'd have to imagine, but there is one arm that is, of course, not pinned. So we saw, of course, Lockie Ash was suspended for Hayden Young. Liam Jones was only given a fine on Aaron Cadman. Guys, what are you thinking on that one? You know, it is so hard given it's really hard to predict what the AFL will do with so many of these different incidents.
Probably not forceful enough, the contact for mine to miss a week, so maybe a fine at best, but I can't see him missing a game for that.
Stiff if to get rubbed out for slamming a giant to the ground. I mean, he's a lot bigger than him. He's just trying to wrestle him to the ground, and he's got one arm free, so I think he'd be incredibly unlucky to miss out for that.
Ken Hinkley staying upbeat and positive after what was a really disastrous night at the office, and there really is no other way to handle it because they've still got another chance in this. They've earned the right for the double chance and they've got to go again next week.
That's exactly right. This is why you work hard all year to secure that top 4 position. You get 2 chances and you're going to have a bad one like that. They didn't want it. They didn't plan for it. He knows the pressure's going to be on next week, but at least you have a chance for redemption by finishing top 4. So they've got to come out all guns blazing next week. Otherwise, then this place becomes a very, very interesting joint about the future of Port going forward and Ken in charge and all those sorts of things. So we don't even want to think about that. He just wants to put this to bed and then get about preparing for next week.
I think it just highlights, and we say it every week on First Crack, that health's your best player. And when you lose suspension Dan Houston, and then Farrell gets injured, and tonight Butters goes off halfway through the game, you just get beaten by diligent professional teams when you give up advantages like that. It was always going to be tough for them tonight with the halfbacks not there, having to manufacture guys that are not first selection in a final. So maybe this has just conspired against Ken.
Yeah, I think it's more mental. I think it's a mental issue now for them in final. So their style of footy, and it had all been stacking up home and away, but it was just a different type of pressure today. We saw it the way they played early in the game and then the way they've played their last few finals now. I think it's weighing on them. I think it's the biggest challenge for Ken Hinkley this week. It's not going to be their style of play and changing how they go about it. It's going to be mentally getting them in the right frame of mind to actually play their best footy because they haven't done that for a long time in a final.
And yes, they finished second, but it was the craziest, most even year we've seen in a long time. So there wasn't a great deal of difference between second and 8th or even further down to 10th.
Well, there was, because you're here. You're here. It's a home final. You've got all the advantage. Tom Stewart doesn't play. He gets taken from the game with an hour upon selection. And you're thinking, this is their time.
Do you reckon they were the second best team of the home and away?
I got no idea who the second best team is this year. I really don't see. I'm not disagreeing with you. It was a season that no one can put a finger on, or if you made a prediction, you were made to look silly. So I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is they had a great opportunity tonight and didn't fire a shot. The key players in the midfield did not fire a shot.
This is a team that beat the Sydney Swans out here by 112 points and they embarrassed the Western Bulldogs by about 50 points. So it's amazing. It's the same team, the same group of players, the same game style, Jason, but it's just a completely different looking result.
So now comes the test. This will seriously test the mettle of these players because for years and years they've been a great home and away side.
Yep.
But this has been the bogey. The hurdles in the finals have always pulled them up. They've done it again now. Lost their last 4 finals, 7 of the last 10. Serious mental doubts, as you said. Are they strong enough to come back and tackle their demons next week? Well, we'll find out in 7 days' time.
Will the fans come next week? That's my...
Yep.
Of course
They turn on Ken pretty quick.
Well, they'll come, but they'll turn here if they get beaten again. Don't worry about that. They'll make their feelings known.
Oh, not a good night for Ken Hinkley or Port Adelaide. A great night for the Geelong Football Club and their coach, Chris Scott. He's fronting the media now.